Steve Nash is known to be one of the most flashy playmakers of all time, and also one of the biggest playmaking icons that the game of basketball has ever seen. Now, when I think of Steve Nash, I think of the rival between him and Kobe Bryant. To be going at the neck of the Black Mamba really showed how much of a competitor Steve Nash was when he joined the league. To be known as one of the shorter players, but with one of the highest upside potential and impacts, Steve Nash made his mark known across the league, but also especially on the Phoenix Suns. You know, I remember back in the day watching Kobe Bryant go up against Steve Nash in the playoffs, and I can say that this was something that was truly special to watch, considering that Kobe Bryant is my favorite player of all time. Steve Nash, and I'm not gonna lie, is a player that I used to hate growing up watching the rival between him and Kobe, because I grew up an LA Lakers fan, and you know, truly it was just that I was a Kobe fan. And you know, man, I just had to go against Steve Nash because I love Kobe, man. I still do to this day, my favorite basketball player of all time, RIP. But being able to watch Steve Nash, it was undeniable how special of an offensive player that he was, and just how much IQ he holds. You know, as I've grown older, I found to appreciate players so much more, but with the fact that this rivalry had so much intensity, just to see that they would be going back and forth on the court with each other, and with the fact that this rivalry had so much intensity, just seeing how they would go back and forth on the court with each other, Kobe Bryant and Steve Nash really made the LA Lakers and Phoenix Suns series really something special to watch. You know, I'm happy that I'm able to get a small glimpse of what Steve Nash was able to do back then in NBA 2K25 today. And with this build, he's really one of the most overpowered offensive threats, especially when it comes towards being a playmaker. That is something that is truly a fan favorite across NBA 2K25. Learning how to dribble and also being able to score efficiently while setting up your opponents to, you know, score as well. Learning how to dribble and also being able to score efficiently while setting up your teammates to score as well. That is easily a big key factor this year. And you know, on this archetype, I feel so much faster than just about any point guard that I've come across, not only on that defensive side, but especially when it comes towards the defense on this build. I can say it really holds its own, but the offense, you're super crazy fast on this build. I really do enjoy it because it maintains a really high steal rating, but it really allows this build to still maintain that defensive presence down low. And even in the post, if you are not the tallest player, you know, that is something that I think about this build is truly special, because you're able to get steals down there. Now, with Steve Nash, man, although that he did not have the biggest frame, his impact was really known across the court. And now that I can say, being able to use my Steve Nash build in NBA 2K25, this is one of the heaviest offensive players on the court at all times. I love to take this build into team settings especially, but if you're the main scorer on your team, you're really going to be shining, man. I'm telling you. I truly feel as though that's where this build shines the most, and with the way that I did craft it today, I can say that you have so many available options to how you actually want to score on the offensive side, and there are many different versions that you can make of this build, especially if you have a certain play style. So if you want to maintain certain attributes or a certain build name, feel free to make any type of changes and adjustments. You know, be sure to just copy the main attributes like the speed, the shooting, the playmaking. But if you want to completely change it, that's up to you. You may get a different build name, and it may take away from that Steve Nash comparison. You know, a lot of point guards in NBA 2K25, I've noticed, really tend to go away from learning the basic mechanics of dribbling, and especially with shooting this year, with this archetype, I can say it's a breeze, whether you're shooting off the dribble, fading, or even shooting off of a screen. The jump shot that I have for this archetype feels so smooth and better than pretty much just about any jump shot that I've used on a guard up until now. You're going to be able to dominate on that offensive side even if you were to go with the minimal defensive stats. I can say that this build really has a huge impact, and you're going to be known on the court at all times where you're being, because that defense is really going to have to focus on you. And when it comes towards shorter builds in the past, we were really limited to what we could actually do on the defensive side. But I can say that with the steal rating of this archetype, whether you go with a 60 or anything up to a 99, it makes a huge difference down low in the post. Now, that is something that I feel I come across on this archetype. Now, although you are not the tallest player on the court, that does not mean you can't have an impact on that defensive end, especially down low. You know, that's a stigma that really ends with this archetype, and you can see it from the gameplay. You know, it really has become one of my favorite things to ISO in this archetype and really chase the three-point shot. And that playstyle has become somewhat of You know, a lot of people hate on it. I don't know why, man. I love the fact that you're able to dribble and shoot consistently this year. Even if you're using the screen, it does not matter. If that's the way you like to play, feel free to go ahead and have fun, man. Especially if you do possess the consistency to shoot from three. That's something that I feel like is truly special this year. And if you want to dribble around the court, man, that is something that I like to do personally. It just gives you a better feel for not only scoring, but just being able to show the defense that they can't guard you, man. That's the best feeling. You know, I feel like this build is really going to thrive in team settings and the fives, but not only because of the offensive stats, but especially when it comes towards those passing lanes, you're going to be able to get passes through them. You know, this is an archetype that is really going to shine from that playmaking side. And I found the stigma to really be false that you're not going to be able to get steals on shorter builds. As you can see, I get a bunch of them in this video. And, you know, it truly feels like you're a free safety out there playing in the NFL. I think that is something that I'm really happy about this archetype. You're really not limited on that defensive side. You can always make your own type of changes and adjustments. You know, anything that you want to cater to, feel free to do it to your own play style. And what you actually want to acquire on this build, make sure that you focus on the badges, the animations, the takeovers, all of that good stuff. And I promise you, this is going to be an archetype that you can really dominate and find success with, not only in the 1v1 setting, but across all game modes if you followed along. You know, I'm nicknaming this build the Steve Nash Build because this is one of the most consistent shooters that I've played on this year. But even when it comes towards the dribbling and being able to pull up, this is an archetype that you can really shoot from half court and feel as though as you are shooting a normal 3-point shot. The badges, even the attributes on this archetype are really special, I think. And once you get this build maxed out to its full potential, I've noticed a significant difference, man. You're really able to green shots consistently, and on this archetype, you're one of the biggest threats on the floor at all times with the smallest frame, man. You're super speedy, and I think that's something that truly surprises a lot of defenses because it really does allow you to take over on that offensive side, but even if you need to on that defensive side, especially with the heavy scoring and the shooting attributes. Now, when it comes towards comparing this build to other guards, I can say that this one really comes second to none. I have made at least 20 different point guard builds and none of them really managed to size up against this one. And for those of y'all who really want to be a floor general, who really want to distribute the ball and be the main orchestrator for your team, you know, this is an archetype that I feel all of my playmakers and assist lovers are really going to enjoy. It seems that a majority of the players in NBA 2K25 are really catering more towards scoring rather than actually learning how to dribble. And I believe a few years ago, dribbling was more sought after. And it seems as though players are starting to lean away from playmaking and more into just 3-point shooting. Especially with the L2 cheese this year, man, that's just crazy and a perfect example of it. But even with the abundance of big men going away from playmaking, I feel as though there are still a handful of actual skillful dribblers. And for those of y'all who know what you are doing this year, I can say dribbling this year is a W in my opinion. You know, we're pretty much allowed to do just about anything on any build up to 7 feet. It's crazy that you can actually get pro dribble moves up to that height as well. And in NBA 2K25, that's something that we are not used to seeing, especially from the past. I think on these new taller builds, it really takes ISO to new heights, and I think it's a huge W for the community as a whole. It really allows us to see more unique play styles and versatility with the builds and even the lineups that we go up against and play with. You know, this has been one of the funnest years for dribbling in my opinion, and I feel as though players who are new to dribbling, they really broke down the mechanics in order to allow that new environment of players to jump in and be skillful right away. So, you know, let me know your thoughts and opinions on this archetype today, and which NBA player do you want to see in the next video? Y'all know that I got y'all right. You know, I just want to say thank you one more time to my Lord above, Jesus Christ, for another day and another opportunity. God bless every single one of you. Comment down TG for thank God and where you're tuning in from, and I'll definitely be sure to get back to you with a response. You know, I'm going to continue to put these videos out for y'all, and I can say with this one today, it has become one of the most favorite builds of mine to use, especially when it comes towards being able to be a team player. This is a build that really possesses the capabilities of doing so while being able to be one of the main scorers on the team as well. So I just want to say thank you one more time to Rich family, and if it was your first time coming through, be sure to hit that sub button if you're new, smash that like button, turn on post notifications to be a part of the Rich family, and last but definitely not least, with all that being said though, I got one last thing to say. Rich out.